Hey, what's good, y'all? It's C Will, and this is the Passive Income Network. On this podcast, we talk about investing in assets that produce passive income. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment and say what's good. On this episode, we have a special podcast feature with Matt, the co-founder of CoBuy. Let's bring him on. How's it going?
Hey man, how's it going? Good to see you, Siwo.
Yes, I'm well. And again, it was so dope to finally meet you in person at Algorand Decipher in Dubai.
Such a blast. I mean, I don't think we could have even imagined.
No.
There were a lot of cool people building a lot of cool things, and I just wish we had a bit more time. But yeah, it was awesome, man.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. We'll pull up some more in person. But let's dive in for the audience here. Talk to them what they came here to hear about. So, can you introduce yourself and tell us about Kobay so they can get an understanding of what it is?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name's Matt Holmes, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Kobay, which is a startup we founded myself and my mother in 2016. We launched in 2017, and we really started Kobay to make it easier for friends, family members, unmarried couples to team up to buy and own a home together. And so for the last few years, we've been helping people plan, finance, execute purchases, co-buys as we call them.
Yep.
And now we're launching a new platform on Algorand to help people manage co-ownership over the full co-ownership lifecycle.
Okay, that sounds dope. Let's unpack this here. Okay, a little bit background on the history. Can you talk about why you and your mother as a business partner got into this, and then some elements of how's it been going before you got onto blockchain?
Yeah, sure. So I used to work in London for a number of years in financial markets. And right around the time I was turning 30, I decided that I wanted to move back to the States, do something on my own. And as chance would have it, at that time, I moved over with my girlfriend from Europe, and we decided that we wanted to team up with my folks to buy and own a primary residence. And we thought it would be easy, but we learned that it was not. There were just so many moving parts. When you think about the fact, okay, you've got 4 people, you've got disparate financial inputs. Maybe people have different amounts of cash in the bank to cover down payment and closing costs. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to get a mortgage together? How are you going to structure ownership? And this was just the start. We hadn't even really delved into all of the risks. And so it really happened around the kitchen table. We were having a chat, talking it out, and we started to think, okay, what if X? And a number of things came up. What if somebody dies? What if there's a separation between partners? How are we going to deal with this sort of thing? And so it was kind of an aha moment. We were like, shoot, if this is tough for us, this has got to be tough for a lot of people, because we've got backgrounds in real estate and finance, and it's still complicated. There's still a lot to manage. Yeah. And so that inspired us to found Kobay, to make it easier for what some people back then were calling non-traditional households, which is basically any combination of people who want to own a home together who aren't married. And there's, we could dive into that, but suffice it to say, a lot of moving parts. We wanted to make it easier. And we really see this as a way to improve access to homeownership, which is fundamental to a well-functioning democracy. And, most of us at some point in our lives want to own a little patch of land to call home. So for us, it's about improving access.
Yeah, I think that's powerful, because when you look at wealth building, that's definitely the main source of wealth building in this country, is to own real estate, whether there be rental or just your primary residence. So I think that's amazing. Yeah, that's wild. So, and again, can you talk a little bit more about your co-founder as well, Pam? So her background is also in real estate. What was she doing in real estate?
Yeah, so Pam's a real badass. Pam has worked in finance, insurance. She's built building companies, building small homes, building condos, building larger homes. So she really has a breadth of experience that spans real estate and finance. At the time, she was helping folks invest in property with a company called Property Investment Advisory. Okay. And so it was kind of a natural culmination of where we were in life, what what we were trying to accomplish personally, and then our skill sets. And so it was clear that we just had this huge opportunity to address a massive market that back then there wasn't even like nomenclature. People weren't calling it co-buying per se.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the wild, as you might appreciate, we've talked a bit about this, you know, an unmarried couple might not wake up and say we're co-buyers. But they might be cognizant of the fact that there's a chance they break up, and how do you deal with that?
Yes.
And out there in the wild, you know, it's not a real estate agent's job or a loan officer's job or even a title and escrow professional's job to help people set up this co-ownership arrangement and to manage it for the full co-ownership life cycle. So I think it's cool that you ask about, Pam, that we, you know, come from different generations and have different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It's been super helpful in reaching out to our target audience, which is broad. It spans all backgrounds, ages, incomes. We now know that a whole lot of people are doing this. So about 1 in 4 home purchases in the US involve co-buyers. And,
wow.
And still the tax and the legal, the accounting, the financial systems that have evolved to support and protect home ownership, they are not built for co-buyers and co-owners. And so that's really what we're tackling today.
Yeah, because that's definitely a barrier. Because you know, I watched a great show on the news, right? And it was 3 friends, exactly what you described, but they could not afford to buy a home themselves. So what they did, they all got together and just bought one big home, and they're all, you know, renting and they're owners. So that is, I'm seeing, especially like millennials, that's the wave that's happening. Is like we have to team up more if we don't have, you know, those resources and to have the opportunities. So this brings me to it. Blockchain now. So how does Algorand work within this product in this process? Because like you said, escrows, we have so much paperwork. And I just purchased, as I told you, a home recently.
Yeah, congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm like, damn, it's a lot of paperwork and a lot of stuff you have to take care of and think about and stuff. So how does your product work with the blockchain?
Yeah. So when we think about distributed ledger technology, there are tons of applications, and we didn't come into this thinking, okay, we want to do a pivot and build on blockchain. It was in a personal capacity that we stumbled upon Algorand, and we thought, wow, this is really cool. Based on our prior careers, we saw a lot of applications and potential use cases. But where we're using it in a nutshell is to manage information, increase transparency, increase security, and introduce automation. And it'll be staged, it'll be gradual, but a few instances up front, digital signatures are a big thing. So let's say you and I see, well, we're buddies and we want to buy a place together. This can be for the long term, but it may be a fixed term short play, right? Maybe we're just renting together in Portland or Seattle, and we decide, hey, look, like we could own the home, a home for the next 3 years, as long as we have an exit plan. So there's a few things. I mean, there's a number of things we're going to want to think about, but we're going to want to reflect a lot of our decisions in a co-ownership agreement. And so today in the wild, that involves finding the right residential real estate attorney, engaging them. Oftentimes it's kind of a one-sided consultation process that ends with us walking away with a piece of paper that we signed, kind of a boilerplate template that's been filled in. If we want to make a change, in all likelihood, we have to go re-engage an attorney. This is not only extremely costly, but it's inefficient. So digital signatures allow us to execute some of these decisions and changes and documentation without leaving our living room. This is bringing down the cost. This is increasing efficiency. And when we're looking at co-ownership, it's kind of like a business, right? Like think about the day you get married. I love this parallel. Like the day you get married is the start of the marriage. That doesn't mean you're successful. That just means you got to the altar. So success is going to be determined over the full course of the marriage. Same with co-ownership. And it's easy if we haven't done this before, and we know because we've been through this process and we've worked with a lot of folks in a professional capacity, but people aren't always thinking about the admin, about the legal, about the agreements. And so we're introducing blockchain in ways that can make this more efficient, more cost effective. When we do that, things like identity become really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
If you and I are going to be able to create and execute a co-ownership agreement that defines the terms of our co-ownership, lays out some policies, lays out, a guest policy, lays out how we deal with risk scenarios, how we structure ownership, then if we're able to sign and execute that from our living room, we have to be damn sure that it's actually us doing that.
Yeah.
And so blockchain allows us to do that really elegantly and really simply. And so these are kind of some of the ways in the beginning that we're using blockchain. And for the rest, we could talk offline because you have to write an investment ticket in Kobay.
Okay, I like that. We'll stop there with it. So I'll say, you said online signature. So it's I'll say more of a process or detail than say when we're signing a contract off a DocuSign, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of moving parts. And I think the other big thing that blockchain is really good at is consensus. So if we look at Algorand and the whole governance program, with blockchain, we're able to build and execute consensus between a number of people. So digital signatures are just one instance, one application of that. But applied to co-ownership, anything that we do, we need to be on the same page, you and I.
Yes.
And that involves making payments, planning expenses. That involves financial products and services around our home, which is our biggest investment. Normally, in most cases, matched by our biggest liability, which is a joint liability. And you and I are joint and severally liable, which means that if you die, I'm on the hook for the outstanding balance of the mortgage.
Yep.
But if we haven't structured this properly, I'm not necessarily inheriting your asset. So that's an asset liability mismatch, which is risk weighted a huge financial cost. So consensus is also a big part of why we chose to develop on blockchain. And could go on for a long time about why we chose Algorand, but I think
Yeah. Well, I got to talk about it anyway, just quickly, So,
Of course.
Okay, if we were trying to do this on, let's say, Ethereum or another blockchain, what's the value versus using Algorand versus Ethereum to do what you need to do?
Sure. So, I mean, I can kind of repeat the static lines, but what was really cool to us, what appealed to us personally and professionally, was that Algorand is accessible. So we are technical, but not engineers. And when we dove into the developer docs and all of the resources around helping people learn about Algorand and how to use it, it was just really accessible. The resources were clear, plentiful, tons of use cases. And then the community behind that has been super supportive. Right. So as folks who aren't, 10 years deep in engineering roles at large engineering firms, we were able to come in and architect a solution that fits the needs of our business and, most importantly, solves our customers' problems. So that's number one. Two is the fact that it's blazing fast. So block speed, block finality, 3.5 seconds, right?
Impressive.
Then we have those low transaction costs, fractions of a penny. So anytime we're doing anything on blockchain, we're interacting with the Algorand network. And on some other blockchains, that just costs a lot more. And when you're a startup,
50 cents a transaction, that gets expensive.
Absolutely. And sometimes more. Yeah. So the clarity, the simplicity, the cost, the speed, those are all really appealing, continue to be. On top of that, the ethos. So Algorand is really about leveling the playing field and bringing this tech and creating opportunities for a much wider audience. Silvio has been in the press talking about how the top 1% and large corporations have access to all of these complex financial tools. But this kind of serves to perpetuate the propagation of wealth in a really small segment of society. So we're all about improving access to homeownership and wealth creation. So there was just really culturally a natural fit. And that's important when you're busting your ass every day trying to solve hard problems.
Yes, real world problems. I love it. Because just for the audience, again, you got Kobay. Lofty is a platform I talk about here a lot. I know there's Pocket Properties. There's a few.
You're involved with Lofty, right? You got
Yeah,
some investments there.
yeah. I actually recently sold them because I bought them right when the platform dropped. I bought a few properties, and they all appreciated so much in the last whatever year and a half
Nice.
that I finally made an exit. So I did well in terms of I wanted to trade those, but
Okay.
even if I kept it, it still is paying right now. So I think real estate for what y'all doing, what these other platforms are doing is very important because it puts a proper use case for this blockchain technology right now in the real world. And this is something that can be explained to a common user who don't really care about crypto. The efficiency, as you said,
Absolutely.
lowering the cost and the organization, all of it is needed. If you've purchased a home, you know that it's confusing.
It's
My stacks of
confusing.
paper is this big, and you just sign. It's crazy.
It really is. And this is, like you said earlier, this is a barrier. This is friction.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying, and I had the opportunity to meet Jerry from Lofty in person. We were on a panel together, as you know, in Dubai. Really cool guy. Love what they're doing. I think that all of us are saying, like, we're not selling these solutions. What we've found is that people want access to real estate in ways that are underserved. And so when we break down these barriers, then what we're doing is improving the likelihood of wealth creation for a much broader audience. And that's what I think is really cool. Yeah. To the last point you also made, kind of clear and present applications of blockchain. On that panel in Dubai with Vesta Equity and Lofty.
Shout out to Vesta.
Shout out to Vesta. There were some good points. And Siwa, you and I have talked a bit about this, how people aren't coming to solutions like these because of blockchain. They have real world problems. Yes. And so to the extent that we can streamline the user interface, the user experience, then, I think we're going to see much broader adoption. And I think that's good for everyone.
Facts. Yeah, I definitely same as we know, everyone is watching the channel, I'm loving blockchain. I love crypto because it just makes
you love blockchain?
Yeah. Like, obviously it just makes so much sense for a lot of the things that we're dealing with. So it's perfect. Okay, let's slowly start to close out. Could you tell the folks, if I want to work with you as to get involved with this product, how would I do that? And where could we find y'all online?
Sure. So the best step is to head to our website, Kobay.io. So COBUY.io. We're now taking registration for our private beta, which we'll be launching here in a couple of weeks, latest by mid-January.
Okay.
And really, this new platform, which we're calling Shared Homeowner OS, is for anyone who owns a home with friends, family, a partner who they're not married to. But also, we've worked on the purchase side up until now with a lot of mixed groups where there's a married couple and maybe their adult kid, or two married couples. So our new platform is relevant for anyone who co-owns a home with someone they aren't married to, whether they live there or not. Oftentimes there's a mix of occupants and non-occupants.
Yep. Nice. Excellent. Thank you. And then a little words of wisdom right here. We're in the bear market. Prices are dumping from the stock side to the equities all the way to the crypto and everything else. So as a builder right now, can you give some words of wisdom to the other builders out there of like kind of how you are navigating this bear market and continue to push on?
Yeah. As a builder, I think it's really important to take care of your mental health. It's super easy to forget, but like get enough sleep, work out, eat right. I think a little bit like longer term, focus. There's so many things to do. It's easy to chase different opportunities, but kind of set that focus and get a North Star. What are you trying to achieve? And cut costs like crazy every day. And find folks to support you. That's been one of the coolest things about the Algorand ecosystem. And you and I have become good buddies.
Yes,
and it's
I'm
cool.
appreciative of you too, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks, man. Thanks. Well,
yeah,
thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome, Siwa.
most definitely. I'm going to slide you out. I appreciate you. We'll definitely have you back and on to the next block show as well in the future.
Awesome. Take care, bud.
Yeah. All right, y'all. That was a great real world use case, as we're saying. That's what this is about. So make sure y'all check out Kobay, check out all the links. I'll put them in the description if you want to learn more, follow on Twitter and whatnot. Those links will also be in the description. And real estate, y'all, let's tap in. I appreciate y'all for joining this show and listening on us. Again, see Will with the Passive Income Network. Hit that like and subscribe, and I'm gone.